I've been fortunate enough that I figured out pretty early on what I wanted to do, what I enjoy. Um, I've been employed doing what I'm doing for the past 18 years, 18 plus years, and I work in sort of a niche business. There's not a lot of people that have what I've got, and that's why my unemployment experience is kind of limited.
Personally, I never had that epiphany of, found a specific thing that I wanted to do and didn't really feel like work. Every job always felt like a job to me. So through that period of unemployment, I did a lot of thinking, like, what, should I go back to school? What would I do that would make me happy? And never really found that was, like my father is a mechanic. He had that instinct when he was younger of he just wanted to know how things worked, and he had that natural curiosity, and he went into, figuring out how things work. He would take them apart and put them back together, and he would build things when he was younger, and then he went into automotive mechanic, and it kind of defined him.
From a male perspective, a lot of times they define themselves by by working or staying busy and bringing home the bacon or whatever. So I think it's probably a little more demoralizing from just from that aspect.
I don't know. When you're older, you feel unemployment can play head games with you. It can mess with your self-esteem, your self-worth, in your own head, and, potentially, and others, I don't guess others would flat out tell you that, but you can feel that, especially time I went through a particularly long stretch of unemployment, and it's just, hey, what are you doing? Nothing.
I do realize that without a higher education or without a technical background, that it would be very difficult for somebody else. In the one time that I did lose my job, I felt pretty certain that I'd be able to get another job before too long. But in between then, you've got to make ends meet. And it is a little disheartening going from making a certain amount of money to being in a position where you're having a hard time finding a job, but you've got to make ends meet, and possibly having to work fast food or, do something that feels like it's beneath you.
So, it's tough finding a job, especially in this economy. Still is, not was, but still is really rough. know, there's not a lot of options really for somebody out there who, you know, doesn't have a degree in something, didn't go to college for something, you know. Anything that I would do, I would have to pretty much start at the bottom and work my way up.
As far as, you know, getting with a company early on, starting at the lower positions and working your way up, like, that's really not practical today. You know, so much of today's industry is trending more and more toward the more technically skilled aspect that, educate even people that have trades and stuff like that in the shaky economic climate that's presented itself at the end of '08 through, some would argue now. Even trades that were kind of at one time bread and butter aren't as reliable as they used to be.
You hear a lot about kids who went to school for a specific thing or something and, you know, spend a lot of money and have a lot of debt piled on them now, and they're having trouble finding work.
And I think that a lot of the jobs that, again, used to be kind of fallback, like you could always go back to, positions are, you know, compared to the cost of living increase and stuff like that, they really don't pay what they used to. So there are people that are working, you know, sometimes 2 or 3 jobs just to try to keep their head above water. And, you know, it really gets frustrating when, you know, when you spend, you can only spend so much time treading water in life instead of not actually, you know, going somewhere. So I think the options for there will always be a need for unskilled labor and stuff like that. But again, I think that I think compared to, you know, the pay and what it used to be, and with the cost of living going up from food and fuel and, you know, housing and everything, I think that that those jobs are getting harder and harder for people to make it on, and it's I guess a sign of the times.